We bring you back home, and South Africa's top cyclists are going under the microscope again. This as officials try to bring under control the situation in the drugs in the sport at the moment. The Institute for Drug-Free Sport is going to retest samples from cyclists who competed in major races last year. Well, on the line, in fact, I lied to you, coming to us from our studios elsewhere is Khalid Galant, the Institute's Chief Executive from our Cape Town studios. My apologies. Mr. Galant, good morning to you. Thanks very much for your time. Why are you doing this now? Because Armstrong has come clean?
Good morning. Yes, one of the lessons that we learned from the Armstrong case, Armstrong was fairly clear in that he was able to beat the system, him and his teammates. We caught a top South African cyclist last year for EPO doping, which was the doping method that Armstrong used. What we're trying to determine is whether the system was beat in South Africa by our top cyclists. And this is part of a strategy of our due diligence to determine if our system is robust enough, and also going forward that our system is strong enough to keep our sport clean and to help the clean up cycling.
I imagine then the top 50 cyclists, if you read into that, you are referring to some of the pros in South African cycling, both women and men, road and mountain bike. Do you know who you're targeting yet?
Yeah, correct. It's all the in excess of the top 50 cyclists who competed in the major cycling events last year. The samples were stored in our laboratory in Bloemfontein, so we are analyzing only for EPO. They have been tested before last year, and they all tested clean. And as we know with the Lance Armstrong case, one of the lessons we learned, he kept proclaiming that he was tested so many times and he tested clean, yet he was engaged in EPO doping, so he managed to beat the system. So we are just checking that our system is robust enough.
Well, I imagine this has ruffled a few feathers in the pro ranks. Mr. Galant, if any of the cyclists perhaps watching or their teams know they might be in trouble, I'm not insinuating they are in trouble, but if they feel that they are, is there some sort of amnesty if they were to come forward and admit to doping the way David George did?
Well, David George admitted to doping after he was caught. This is slightly different. If athletes or the cyclists come forward before we charge them, there is a process that we can follow, that we can give them a reduced sentence or enter into a plea bargain with them. Amnesty is a bit of a strong word.
What about the blood passport? Where do we stand on that in South Africa?
The blood passport we've been running for the last year and a half in South Africa. It's one of the major deterrents in doping, and again, lessons learned from Armstrong and from his teammate Tyler Hamilton, and even locally from David George, where they all admitted that the blood passport is a strong deterrent and helps to keep those who are engaged doping on their toes, and also to make the decision for doping even more difficult.
Why focus on just cycling as briefly as you can, Mr. Galant?
Well, again, the focus has been on cycling because that's where the information is, that where we believe there's some activity. It's not limited to cycling. As we move forward, our testing is robust and focused on all sports, and specifically with EPO doping, we focus on the endurance sports, marathon running, triathlon, canoeing, rowing, those type of sports.
Well, I do thank you for your time in coming in to talk to us. Mr. Khalid Galant, Chief Executive Officer of South African Institute for Drug-Free Sport, speaking to us from our Cape Town studios.